Section 16 of the American Postal Service, Second Edition. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Rosie Roberts from California. The American Postal Service, Second Edition, by Louis Melius. Chapter 5, Miscellaneous Matters, Part 3. Express mail service could be established by the Postmaster General if deemed expedient, for the purpose of conveying slips from newspapers in lieu of exchanges, or letters, except such as contain money not exceeding ½ ounce in weight, and public dispatches marked as above, at triple rates of postage. Employment of extra clerks was permitted and authorized when actually needed to answer some information called by Congress. Copyists, etc., were paid at the rate of $3 a day. Other service, $4, when actually and necessarily employed. Act of August 26, 1842. Section 442, Chapter 60, says, every deputy postmaster will consider himself the sentinel of the department in regard to its affairs in his immediate vicinity, and he will carefully observe and promptly report to it everything tending to affect its interest or injure its reputation. Section 445 says, if a mail carrier having the mail in charge becomes intoxicated, the deputy postmaster will instantly dismiss him, employ another at the expense of the contractor, and report the facts to the department. Section 382, Chapter 53. Deputy postmasters are in the habit of settling their printers' bills only once in 2 or 3 years, and then forwarding the advertising account for several quarters at once. This must not be done. All such accounts must be forwarded with the returns to which they belong. Section 379. No allowance for furniture will be made to any post office when the net proceeds do not amount to $20 per year. Act of 1825, Section 39, and Act of 1863, Section 41, says the carriers of the United States City Dispatch Post in New York and other city dispatch posts wherever established, are authorized to charge and collect 3 cents on each letter deposited in any part of the city and delivered at another. Act of 1825, Section 38, states a deputy postmaster will not open, nor suffer to be opened, any packet of newspapers not addressed to his office, under a penalty of $50. A penalty of $20 was to be imposed on any person not authorized to open mails, who shall open any packet of newspapers not directed to himself. Regulations 324 and 325 says that the franking privilege travels with the person possessing it and can be exercised in but one place at the same time, and prohibited deputy postmasters or other privileged persons from leaving their frank behind them upon envelopes to cover public or private correspondence in their absence. Queer collections in holiday mail. Some years ago, the Cincinnati, Ohio Post Office gave an account of the queer combinations and collections of articles found loose in the mails at the Christmas season owing to the carelessness of senders. These articles vary from value to worthlessness, utility to uselessness. Money, jewelry, article of dress, dainty ribbons, to choice silk patterns, tableware, and even to corn shellers. Many of the articles named were doubtless in combination and sent to one address, but being careless, wrapped, or addressed, they could not be assembled for identification or identified singly for delivery in the great majority of cases. The list is given for the benefit of readers who delight in curious things. These articles were held for a week for possible identification and then sent to the dead letter office. No attempt has been made at classification, as more interest is excited by taking them as they come. Some of the combination must have been very amusing. List as follows: a cabinet photograph, pair rubber sleeves, 2 silver $quarter, sewing machine shuttle, piece of white Swiss goods, 2 dimes, a brass key, package common teaspoons, 5 cents and 8 childs. Cards from Beamsville, Ontario, for Mrs. J. Carl, Tallahassee, Alabama, and sent to the postmaster of that place for delivery. 2 unstamped letters, one to Mrs. Rebecca Washington, the other to W. M. Cummings, 65 cents, plated butter knife, gold-plated lead pencil, silver quarter, 2 combination tools, 2 penknives, lot photographs, pension affidavit of Jasper Acres, pair knit stockings, 6 books, false mustaches, pearl pen holder, box of pills, patent corn sheller, 2 electrotype plates of Seller's cough syrup, yellow and purple knit hoods, Christmas cards, studs, 2 small drills, peacock feather, fountain pen, lady's brooch, butter knife, felt soles, letter in matchbox addressed to Postmaster Berlin, sugar spoon, celluloid, ring, sleeve buttons, 25 cents, hair switch, open letter to J. Leon, Red, Kentucky, Indiana, which was delivered to him. 2 pen knives, dime, box violin strings, ladies' fashion bazaar, bottle, fruit laxative, plain gold ring, earrings, breastpin, and thimble. Open parenthesis, snide, close parenthesis, paper needles, book, Bad Boy's Diary, pencil, large penknife, 70 cents, unstamped letter to Adelaide Long, iron hook, toy knitting machine, 2 tops of sleeve buttons, hair chain, lot crayons, chalk, letter to P. O. Wickley, Augusta, Maine, unstamped, containing 70 cents in stamps, child's book, The Proud Little Lady, magic lantern, watch chain, Masonic charm, half dozen teaspoons, paper needles, child's mitts, comforter and doll, 2 harmonicas, Bible, child's gingham dress, 2 sticks of candy, a wallet containing a gold double eagle, $20 bill, 9 5 bills, 3 10 bills, found by F. A. Montague in a pouch from Lewisburg, Tennessee, and returned to postmaster of that town to be delivered upon receipt to the sender. Gold-plated pencil, unaddressed envelope containing pair of lisle thread gloves, black and white stamped ribbon, unenclosed letter containing $1 marked from Joe to Gus, 2-cent piece, golden jet pencil holder, butter knife, tidy white apron, pair baby socks, blank checkbook, dominoes, black cord and tassel, red worsted shawl, tidy, wooden box, lot of candy, assortment of rubber sheep, letter from R. McFeely, Washington, D.C., to Captain A. M. Corliss, without envelope, 1 cent, German picture cards, meerschaum cigar holder, woman's head design, 3 plain rings, 4 watch charms, compass, horseshoe cigar cutter, 2 lanterns, pearl handled table knife, billiard ball, silver quarter sewed in some knit work, whisk broom, a false tooth, 2 black ties, 3 New Year cards, hair switch, curry comb, vanity case, stuffed Aunt Dinah, game, old maid, box masons, blacking with brush, fiddle strings. Feeding the cats. It is perhaps not generally known that cats are kept and fed at the public expense in some of the larger post offices of the country. Some years ago, and it may still be the custom, an appropriation of from $80 to $100 was annually made for this purpose for the benefit of the New York Post Office, and $30 to $40 spent for like service at the Philadelphia office. In an article in the Philadelphia Record, it was stated that a man in the city had a contract for keeping these feline employees of the office in provisions, and it was also mentioned that there are about 1,000 of these useful domestic animals in the employ of the post office department, and they are paid for their services by food and shelter. It is estimated that about 1,000 per annum is expended in this way at the principal post offices and large public buildings of the country. Ferrets are also often employed for this purpose in the great public buildings in Washington, when the rodents get too numerous and damage to papers and files likely to occur. The common practice of eating lunches in these government buildings tends to spread of this annoying condition, and the cats in the public service are held to be a useful and necessary convenience in hunting down and interfering with the nibbling propensities of this pest to domestic as well as public economy. A couple of distinguished canines. Mention is made in another article of the employment of cats in post offices as mousers, and they doubtless contribute their share towards public benefit. The dog, man's most faithful friend, so eulogized in song and story, has also, it seems, his part in public interest and concern. For many years the postal clerks of the country paid great attention to Oni, an adventurous terrier dog who attached himself to railway service, and whose exploits as a traveler and companion on many postal trips and runs made him a familiar and welcome acquaintance wherever he established his temporary domicile. His faithfulness, friendship, and fellowship, in his way of showing it, was the topic of discourse when he made his occasional visits, and his praise were told in many a newspaper story, and he wore the numerous decorations and medals with which he was bedecked, the gift of admiring friends, with all the dignity and grace becoming a dog so honored and esteemed. Oni had an humble imitator and counterpart in canine sagacity and wisdom in a dog at Mount Carmel, Pennsylvania, whose watchful guardianship of the office mail and general fidelity won him such deserved recognition at home as a remarkable example of what a dog can be taught to do. That his fame spread abroad was brought to public attention at Washington, and the post office people awarded him special recognition in the shape of a handsome collar, raised by subscription. He got his name in the newspapers, but whether all this honor and glory turned his head and his attention elsewhere, or some evil-minded person, jealous of the costly collar he wore, appropriated it, and the dog also, is not known. But after being thus honored and decorated, and set apart from the rest of the canine fraternity, this famous dog suddenly disappeared and was never heard of again. Soldier's sister, a mail carrier. President Wilson has issued an executive order allowing the Postmaster General to appoint a temporary rural mail carrier during the absence of the regular carrier on military duty, the person on whom the support of the dependents of the regular carrier devolves, without regard to civil service requirements, if the substitute is found competent. The first appointment under the order is that of Miss Edith Strand, of Princeton, Illinois, whose brother was called into the military service, leaving her to care for the family. Notice: in a pamphlet giving a brief history of the postal service compiled by Mr. Stanley I. Slack during the administration of Postmaster General Charles Emory Smith, from which a few general facts are taken relating to our early postal history, appears a statement that use have been made of the following works: Journal kept by Hugh Finley, 1773 to 74, Brooklyn, 1867. Joyce, History of the British Post Office, The Early History of the Colonial Post Office by Mary E. Woolley. Leach and Nicholson's History of the Post Office Department, Washington, 1879, and the Contributions of Postal History of the United States by C. W. Ernst of Boston in volumes 20, 1895, and volumes 21, 1896. Journal of the Postal Union. As none of these authorities have been consulted in the publication of this work, or access had to any of them for such purpose, this explanation is made so that if anything from the above-mentioned publications appears herein, drawn from Mr. Slack's pamphlet, the necessary acknowledgment might hereby be made and due credit given. End of section 16. Your reader has been Rosie Roberts from California. End of the American Postal Service, second edition, by Louis Melius.